Behind the dark veil of history, there is a disaster so horrifying, so terrifying, that the world nearly chose to forget it. Chernobyl. In 1986, the world witnessed an explosion that tore apart the peace, but there's a darker side, far more chilling, that was never told. What truly happened there? Why are so many terrifying secrets still being hidden from us? What are the things we should have known about Chernobyl that we weren't allowed to hear until today? Stay with me as we uncover 10 dark secrets of Chernobyl, secrets that were never meant to reach our ears. The faulty reactor design and the failed safety systems. The first fact that will freeze your blood is that the RBMK reactor at Chernobyl had a fatal flaw from the very beginning. Many people think this disaster happened due to human error, but in reality, the reactor itself was fundamentally flawed. One of the biggest problems was the positive void coefficient, which means the hotter the reactor got, the more likely it was to become uncontrollable. The engineers working there had no idea how dangerous this design was. If only the reactor had been designed differently, maybe this catastrophe could have been avoided. Then, let's talk about the safety systems. What safety? It was merely for show. When the accident occurred, the safety systems that should have protected them were nothing more than a facade. Workers weren't even told about the radiation danger they were facing. They only realized what was happening when it was already too late. The third fact, perhaps the most chilling, the Soviet government. They tried to cover up what had actually happened at Chernobyl. For days, they stayed silent, even as radiation spread across neighboring countries. They allowed the world to remain in darkness. And even more terrifying, Reactor 5 almost exploded as well. Yes, Reactor 5, located just a few meters from Reactor 4, nearly suffered the same fate. Imagine if it had exploded. No one knows how much worse it could have gotten. Luckily, the world only knew about the luck that saved us. Fact number 5. Radiation. We all know that Chernobyl was full of radiation, but did you know that the radiation was far deadlier than we were told? The victims were not informed about the long-term dangers they were facing. They only knew they were being exposed to something terrifying, something that could kill them in a matter of years. And then there were the liquidators, the forgotten heroes. These men worked without proper protection, facing radiation that ravaged their bodies. But they didn't know, they weren't warned. Within a few years of the disaster, they started to fall one by one, in silence. They were the ones who tried to fix a shattered world, yet they themselves were shattered without a sound. Fact 7. The bad decisions. The leaders, overconfident in their abilities, decided to continue an experiment that was too dangerous, even though they knew the great risks. Those decisions led to a bigger explosion, sending shockwaves through the world and spreading radiation everywhere. And the 8th fact, they didn't just cover up radiation, they also hid the health impact on children. Imagine, children exposed to radiation, growing up with dreams and hopes, only to be tormented by diseases they couldn't understand. The government hid the data, covered up the horrific reality, and allowed these children to grow up in the darkness of radiation, completely unaware of the horrors awaiting them. Fact 9. Water contamination. We all know about the contaminated soil, but did you know about the contaminated water? Water that should have been a source of life, now polluted with radiation. And the people who lived there, they didn't know what they were drinking, what they were consuming. They didn't know that their lifeblood had become a killer. And finally, fact 10, the people who returned. Some residents, banned from returning, chose to go back to their homes, ignoring warnings, returning to places that were filled with death. They went back to homes that were tainted, places that should have been their last refuge. And some of them never returned again. Long-term impact on society and the environment. After Chernobyl, the world changed. The people who were forced to leave their homes, who had to avoid the places they once lived, were left with an uncertain future. They struggled to survive, but they didn't know that they were still threatened by an invisible shadow. And the environment, ruined. The ecosystems were shattered, the land forever tainted. But, strangely, there was something more horrifying. Nature began to return, but in a disturbing way. Flora and fauna began to thrive in the contaminated zones. Was it a sign that the world that had died was trying to come back to life? And now, after revealing the 10 dark secrets of Chernobyl, we can only ask, what do we really not know? Is there more hidden behind this catastrophe? Or is the world just too afraid to face it? Chernobyl is a place where darkness meets reality, and all we can do is listen to the silence of what has been lost. If you're shocked, if you feel disturbed, it's because Chernobyl opened a door to horrors unimaginable. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below about what you think, and subscribe for more secrets to come. See you in the next video, if you dare watch.